Hi, Eddie. Welcome to our True Next podcast.
Hi, Laura. Thank you so
So
much.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Whew. I know it says Edward Schmit on my book, but you can call me Eddie. So can everybody else. I'm an author in New York City, newly an author. This is my debut novel, The Open Era. And during the day, I work for mental health nonprofits. So very much into mental health advocacy. And when I'm not doing that, I'm writing books and I'm playing
I
tennis.
love this. I love the fact that since 2021, tennis has been your full personality. Love that. Love the fact because also we have to think about where are you playing tennis in New York City? Like, where are the places? Where are the courts? Because there are courts. Like, people think that New York City is urban jungle, but it's not. I lived in New York City for 15 years in the aughts until
Okay, cool.
2020. So yeah.
Wait, so
I
where are
am
you
in
now?
Tampa. I moved
Okay.
2 weeks before the COVID shut down. So shutdown happened 2 weeks beforehand. I moved to Chicago. I spent about a year and a half in the pandemic. My old New York City job hires me back, and they're like, "We don't want to pay Chicago taxes. Move somewhere else." And so I ended up randomly picking Tampa. I had no car, no idea what I was expecting, but yeah, but I still work for a New York City company. So yeah,
Got it.
so
Cool. Well, I bet it's so much easier to find a tennis court to play
yes.
on in Tampa because it is a bit of a hard time here in New York. But I live close to a great park that has like 14 courts, so it's never terrible. But like you have to do a lot of planning. You can't just like book a court. You have to like wait in line and get a permit and all the city things that the city makes you do. But I love playing tennis here and I've met some amazing people playing tennis. And yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
it is
sport.
a great sport. Yes, there are actually courts, and I know like a lot of players. There are some players that practice down here in this area and stuff like that. So it is definitely much more flexible. But I
Yeah.
I know like in New York City, I was like there are courts, or like there are things. I remember 23rd Street. There are actually like in Chelsea. I think there's some courts
Yeah.
there, and then we also have the New York Open,
Yeah. Yeah, we have the US
U.S.
Open. Yeah, the
U.S.
US
Open.
I live in Queens, so it's literally like a 15-minute drive for me on a good traffic day. So that's huge. That's why I can never leave. It's in my
Yeah. So
backyard.
how did you end up finding tennis? Like,
First, I have to tell you that I was a theater kid growing up and I did not give a shit about sports. And I'm so sorry if I can't sing here.
okay.
Great. I didn't care at all. I wanted to do musicals and plays, and my sister was the sporty one. And I went to school for acting and I moved to New York to pursue acting and immediately retired. And I started working for a PR entertainment agency and worked my way up to be creative director there. I found tennis because I was looking for ways to work on my mental
Wow.
health. A great way to do that is to pick up exercise and work on your physical health, and because those two are directly linked. And I went to the U.S. Open every single year since I've been in New York for the
Yeah.
vibes and for the honey deuces, and it loved being there. But in 2021, I caught myself really paying attention to the
Yeah.
matches and just kind of like really being into the sport. And I was like, I like watching this. I think I might want to try playing it. So I found a coach. I joined clinics. I made friends with strangers who would hit with me on the weekends. And I just fell in love with the sport and trying to get better at it. And it's so hard to be good at tennis. It takes a very long time and I'm still not good at it. Anyway, so yeah, it became my entire personality. I was reading everything that I could about tennis, watching tennis movies, and that's sort of how I fell into it.
I love this rabbit hole. Become your own personality. Like, it's a mental health. I think we're living in a place where there's a lot of challenges, a lot of stressors, a lot of specific things. And I think as contemporaries, we find ourselves with finding a hobby that becomes our hyperfixation. And then we monetize it. You monetize it
Uh-huh.
with a quote. But it's for the mental. We start with the mental health benefits. Like, this is
It's
escaping. This is what's going on. Because it happened with me books. Like, and I exercise. I'm like trying to exercise not to monetize it, but like the same idea. It's like
mm,
I am looking for something. It just becomes my whole personality. Comes something outside of work, outside of like experiences, something to talk about. And then as
yeah,
one does, we try to find a way to make
yeah.
it a whole thing.
A, yeah, a friend of mine jokes with me. I also am pretty obsessed with Apple products. And like I watch YouTube videos about them and look at reviews, and I unfortunately have to buy like most things they put out. But my friend was like, "You really need to focus your passion. Should you work for Apple? We have to do something about this." But yeah, I was so obsessed with tennis that I had to do something
Yes.
with it. And that's how, in a lot of ways, how the open era
So
was
let's start
born.
with the open era. We have a match for the ages. We got two people who meet, one seemingly to be straight, one openly gay, and they're in the biggest competition of their lives. And sparks fly, and it's what we think, it's what we love. Like, it has the vibes that we love about Peter rivalry if we're looking for a comp, but at the same time in the world of tennis that is not as saturated. People are looking for that. The tennis has a schedule that you can have Australia, you got French, you got Wimbledon, you got US Open, you got, so you have enough throughout the year to look forward to refer these players. And so talk to us about the open era and why should readers pick it up?
Yeah. So the open era follows the first openly gay male tennis player to compete in a Grand Slam. His name is Austin Hardy. He's 20 years old. He came out in high school and it was really not a big deal. But when he qualifies for the US Open, which is the largest tennis tournament in the world, it becomes a very big deal. And he makes history for just by being who he is and open about who he is. He also has generalized anxiety disorder, and all of this media attention turns straight to him. He's answering questions about his sexuality that he just didn't really prepare for this spotlight. And he has an anxiety attack and trips and falls at practice and opens his eyes. And in front of him is very talented, very handsome, probably straight world number two, Diego Cruz. And the two of them start a friendship off the court, maybe something more than a friendship, maybe something a little bit more than a friendship, all while they're about to go head to head, if all goes well, in the fourth round of the US Open. It all takes place over 2 weeks, just at the US Open, right here in New York City, where I live. I'd like to pitch it as epic gay tennis or heated rivalries, cute younger
Yeah.
brother, a little more sweet and
Yeah,
spicy.
I love the fact that we live in a, like, I'm in my 40s now, so I remember being gay was a taboo in the 90s. It was like a big coming out and specific things. And a lot of the areas in our day-to-day life, it's no longer an issue. However, when we look at uncharted territories like sports arenas, like different areas where people are not openly gay, even though we always had gay, lesbians, queer people everywhere, it's this uncharted territory that we see the spotlight back again. It's okay, but it's not an issue, and it's, oh, now it's becoming an issue. Now it's becoming national news. It's like my whole personality, even
Yeah.
though again, this is doesn't have to be your whole personality. It's just something in your life that makes it who you are. I think it's fascinating to see it as someone who has grown up seeing it as what it was, and now it's not an issue, and then it's, oh, it is an issue again, like in different areas. How do you like actually have those conversations and same time thinking about the mental health that normally we wouldn't even talk about it? You may have anxiety, you may be neurodivergent, and you just mask it. And now it's like you can't mask it. You have to show up and just deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, like talking about masking too, because some of us get very good at masking, but like when you are expected to perform at your absolute peak at the most challenging tournament you've ever experienced, you can't mask it. And those symptoms like bubble up and they are on full display. And that's what happens for Austin. And he has to find ways to get through it.
Yeah. And it's day to day, it is a moment to moment. I suffer with general anxiety, and it's just there you can manage it, but you cannot get away with it. At the end of the day, you're not gonna be healed, you're not gonna have a cure of anxiety. You're just gonna be a slightly a little bit better, like at the end of the book. You're not gonna be like fully, I am done with it. I did everything. It's like you're just
Yeah.
learning how to cope with it and learn how to experience.
Yeah.
And then you're probably slightly better, but you may have setbacks because this is not linear. This is not like a one thing. This is just a mountain.
Sure.
It's like back and forth and 3 steps forward, 20 steps back. And that's what living with
Yeah.
anxiety looks like.
Yeah, and the book, as I said, takes place over 2 weeks. So we see the very start of Austin and Diego's friendship into a relationship. And we also see the very start of Austin taking steps to manage his anxiety. And I wanted to make sure that journey was realistic. And I based a lot of it on things that I know from my own mental health. But like at first, he's pretty resistant to going to therapy. He does it just so he doesn't have to drop out of the tournament. And I think a lot of us are reluctant to do the hard things and talk about the hard things that actually make us feel better. And it was important for me to accurately represent that
Yeah.
messiness.
Yeah, I've been in this for 20, 25 years, trauma and trying to figure out bad therapists, good therapists, bad modalities,
Yeah.
good modalities, things that work for me but did not work for others, things that work for others did not work for me. It's like finding your own prescription, and it's so messy, and it's you have to do the hard things. And the hard things may feel for others may feel like nothing. Like it's just me, okay. But then if you think about the idea of competing on the national stage, actually being putting yourself, it's many people's worst nightmare. Like it really comes out. And then you're
Yeah.
just kind of being anxious about it. Like you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit, what am I doing with my life? I just want to play tennis because that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Austin's whole thing. It's God, I'm getting these questions about my sexuality. I'm getting these freaking symptoms. Like, I just want to play
Yeah.
tennis. And also, I'm falling in love with this handsome stranger, world number two across the net. There is a lot there's so much that he is up
Yeah.
against here. And he has a great team and a great support network rallying around him. And thank God, because it's rough out
Yeah.
there for
So
him.
talk to us about the journey of writing this book. This is your debut. Like, how did you end up in romance? Like, how did you end up writing? We know tennis, we know mental health is some of your passions, some of the areas, but then thinking about the story in a romance space, because it can be literary fiction, it can be any other genre. It can even be a thriller. It can, I don't know how you approach that, but you know what I mean. But romance is it's a
Yeah.
place where there is a happily ever after. There's conventions that
Yeah.
may help foster it. But I'm curious for your journey. How do you become a romance author?
Yeah. The idea that I was first interested in was what would it be like to be the first openly gay man to compete in a Grand Slam? That is what I was interested in all of the components that entails, the press, maybe mental health. And a piece of that too is like creating conflict and plot. Like what is also something that would make it difficult, make like life difficult for my main character, because that's what most stories are. It's like you're going through some sort of struggle, and that's falling in love with your opponent. And that is a queer romance. So that it naturally fit right into that genre. And so we have romance, we have high stakes competition, we have a mental health journey, but it's all packaged in this romance of two young athletes falling in love and forming this very special friendship that turns into something so
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah, I think that romance is a perfect space to explore the character arc. A lot of people think it's like it's not as plot driven, it's about the character's journey and a lot of the stakes that you have to play with the conflicts of the relationship building and building the relationship and getting to the point of like of a from the inciting incident from the meet cute to the actual point of coming to terms, oh my gosh, I love you. And it's not formulaic. It's just basically you get to see a journey and you get to see that
Yeah.
inciting incident that can actually really transform the character from a person who didn't think was worthy of love or didn't think was worthy of whatever it is, and to be able to see like actually the other side. And
Yeah.
yet just trying to make sense of the world that we live and make sense of the stakes that they're there. They're higher stakes to do.
Yeah. And there's a lot going on for Austin, but it was fun to write, and I hopefully it's joyful to read like those true romance moments where you are and they're young and you're falling in love for the first time, and those are like magical moments to experience with them. Like there's a scene early on where they go ride go-karts in New Jersey, and it's like a random place to go, but they're like having the time of their lives. And like I remember that feeling like when I was like in college, like leaving campus with someone I really liked and just like going on a little
Yeah.
adventure. And it's kind of like them sneaking away from the US Open and just having a fun night where they forget about the demands of their early
Yeah.
careers.
All right. So let's talk some books. Let's talk some books.
Let's talk
So
some
first things
books.
first, what kind of books do you read? What genres do you gravitate, or what things will actually be your escape, or things that bring you joy for you?
I read all over, a lot of fiction, and I read a lot of nonfiction to do research for this book. And I didn't even know or realize I was really doing research. I just was like wanting to consume all the tennis stuff that I
Yeah.
possibly could. But I'd say it leans mostly fiction, a lot of literary, and also now being a romance author, I've found many wonderful friends who are publishing many wonderful books. And sometimes I even get to read those books early. And that is like the greatest gift. So I've been reading a whole lot of romance lately, but that's pretty much my lineup
I
for
love
reading.
this. So first things first, let's talk about the nonfiction because a lot of people are intimidated
Yep.
by nonfiction. They think nonfiction is boring. They're just like, what am I reading? Am I reading like I'm doing homework? And as we know, probably we both read nonfiction, we realize there's actually really a lot of joy in reading nonfiction. There's actually pretty juicy and sometimes real life is stranger than fiction. So talk to us
Mhm.
about some of your nonfiction books that if you want to read, if you read the open era that you want to try out to see like how did this all came about.
Okay, so I wrote a book called The Open Era. This book that I'll talk about first is an autobiography by Andre Agassi, and it's called Open. Nothing, just
Yeah.
Open, which is separate from my book. And it a friend of mine gave me this book, and thank God that he did. And I, like most books that I get, it sits on my shelf for a long time. And I think one day I cracked it open and I was gripped by the very, very first chapter and the prose from an autobiography. And it's Andre Agassi is like an incredible tennis player who is now retired, a very big personality, like known for wearing like jort on court, had wild hair, and now I think that he shaved it all
DJ.
off. But yeah, it's a very gripping autobiography, not just on his career, but his
Yeah.
life. And he rose to fame at a very young age. It was built from the ground up to be this amazing tennis player, and he became that. But he also, throughout all of that, famously hated tennis and says so in the book. And it's about sort of him coming to terms with that.
Yeah. I actually remember Andre when I was growing up and in his life because he was in the news. Like he was a personality. There's certain
He dated here at Brooke
yes, yes.
Shields for a
I
while.
was like, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
his dating life. He was like a celebrity. Like there are certain tennis stars that are celebrities. The one who dated Tatum O'Neal, who are like married to Tatum O'Neal, it's like from the 70s. Like he used to choose temperature entrance at people and stuff. I don't remember his name, but McEnroe.
McEnroe?
Yes. Yeah. Like
Okay,
those were
okay, okay. I didn't know the person he dated, but I did. So if you say
yeah, like
tantrum,
it
it's
was
probably
like
McEnroe.
basically like they were celebrities just like us. And we haven't had that many, we got the Williams sisters and stuff, but we haven't had that many like male personalities who are just in the news and stuff. Because Rafael Nadal, like they're
Yep,
there, but they're not celebrity worth stuff. But I remember when Andre's memoir came out, it was like shocking. People were like, because of his like honesty around it on it, you know, how much he
yep,
hated
yep.
the sports, and then yet he was
Yeah.
just doing the sport and stuff. Talk to us about the mental health back, actually.
Sure, I have it here, and also, so this book is called Where to Start, and it is written by Mental Health America, illustrated by Gemma Carrell. And I do have to say that I work for Mental Health
Okay.
America. Had nothing to do with writing this book whatsoever. I wish that I did. Actually, no, it's perfect as is. So it's terrific. So it's a survival guide to anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges, but it is told in a jargon-free way that makes mental health extremely approachable. Gemma Carell's illustrations throughout just bring levity and relatability to what can be a pretty heavy topic sometimes. So if you feel like if something's wrong and you're not sure what to do, this book can warmly guide you in the right direction. And we translated it to Spanish recently, so it's also available in Spanish. And I think that it's an amazing book. It was written for young adults, but I am very much not one of those, and I've learned a lot from it. So I think that I think it's a great companion to the open era just based on the mental health themes. Austin could have used this
That's,
book.
I think a lot of people could use this book, like including myself. So let's talk about the other tennis book that you have on the list.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's sorry, three
That is
nonfiction,
okay because
everyone.
we're
Three
looking for
books.
nonfiction. We promise we got
Um
some fiction recommendations, but
The Inner Game of Tennis is my next recommendation, written by W. Timothy Gallwey or Galway, I'm not sure. It is a book about the mental side of tennis, but it also can relate to folks who don't play because it's about optimizing your performance. And the author's core thesis is we kind of have two selves. One that is in our head all the time and judging and thinking about technique and everything we've ever learned and trying to apply that to what we're doing. And the other one that just freaking does it. And those two selves are constantly at odds. And the job of being really great at something or unlocking your core potential lies in silencing that other voice and just trusting yourself and trusting all of the hard work you put into it and finding a way to quiet your mind, which is tennis is a really interesting way to explore that because if you've ever played tennis before, you are constantly judging yourself. It You hit one great shot for every 10 shots and you are just in your head about everything, at least I am. And this book has kind of helped me point me in the right direction of finding some nice peace and calm or attempting to
so
on
it's
court.
actually like a meditation, like basically like a movement meditation.
Of
Yeah.
zen and locking in and not talking to yourself inside your head, which is, I think, for a lot of us easier said than
Yeah.
done.
But it's great for mental health and it's great for
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's one area you can unlock. If you can unlock one moment of peace, like one breath away for that space, like
Yep.
you can actually unlock. I call it my chat GPT. You know how we ask, they think about, yeah, it's gonna have it. It's like if you quiet your mind and quiet your space and just connect to whatever the worlds of wisdoms that you have, you probably will find the answers within it. So sometimes that's where we say, authors say, I go for a walk and I unlock the process. It's like you're walking meditation, you're letting your mind get bored. I think right now we
Yeah.
don't allow ourselves to get bored. Obviously, you caught me before that. I was like, I'm scrolling on my phone. Like, we don't. Things like, but even practice like tennis, where you have to be present because you have to figure out where the ball is going to come in, it
Yeah.
helps you kind of like shed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And yeah, in tennis, split seconds matter
Yeah.
very much. And if your mind is anywhere else, if you're distracted by something, it will not end
Yeah.
well.
So a moment of peace. But I'm actually interested in that book
Yeah.
actually, because it's looking at that conflict, that inner conflict between those two voices can make such an impact. How to
Yeah.
resolve it.
I think this is the 50th anniversary
Yeah.
edition. So this book has been around for a while and everything is still ringing true. And Billie Jean King called it her tennis
Well,
Bible.
she was the
So
greatest.
what an
Yes.
endorsement.
All right. So let's talk about the fun fiction books because our listeners are always looking for that. We got queer, paranormal, like fun book. That's coming out this summer.
My friend Chip Pons wrote a gorgeous book, gorgeous romance called Dearly Departed. It is about Hades, the god of the underworld, who is sort of banished to run a funeral home in this small town, and he falls in love with a florist. And it is small towny, and it feels like a warm hug of a novel. And the way Chip writes is just like kind of wrapped you in his arms, and it is full of queer joy. And I highly recommend it because I had a great time
I
reading
love
it.
this. I know we got another open book, not open era. We got the open.
Yeah, so we have Open Era. I wrote that one. Open was written by Andre Agassi, and this one is called Open Throat, written by Henry Hoke. And it is about a queer character as well, but it is a queer mountain lion who lives in the LA hills. And it is one of the funniest books I've ever read. It's also like one of the strangest books I've ever read. And it's written sort of like it feels like poetry a little bit. No punctuation, very short paragraphs. It is supremely funny. And it's also very short, and I love a short book. I also love to gift short books because if you hate it, that was only a few hours of
That's
your life. But I've given this book as a gift a lot, and I was also lucky enough to see a stage adaptation on Little Island. They performed it like maybe 2 years ago now, and it was cool to see it put on its feet. And different actors played the mountain lion and just brought different personalities to them, and it was really
that
cool.
sounds really cool. And I never thought of queer mountain lion can be their own protagonist. But you know what? Fiction can actually give us that gift.
Absolutely.
Eddie, tell
Yeah.
us where we can find you online.
Please find me on Instagram at Edward Schmit. That's the best way to keep up with me. You can check out my website if you want, but yeah, it'll just be linking to my Instagram there. Just follow me
Awesome.
there.
Thank you, Eddie, for being on the show.
Yeah, and the open air comes out on June 2nd with Penguin Random House. I hope everybody
Awesome.
likes it. Thanks for chatting with
Thank
me,
you.
Laura.
Thanks for listening to the What to Read Next. For more book lists, cozy reads, and library tips, visit the whattoreadnextblog.com. Your next great read might be waiting there.